Audio looks good. Hmm. 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 I'll write it as an X. I think people understand a little bit more when you write it as an X. Ooh, bother. Let's see. Next one, we've got the integral of sine x equals minus cos. Integral of cos sine x right now I'm just making a post to put on Instagram. I figured common integrals would be a good one. Then after this, we'll see if anyone has arrived. Needs any help. If not, we'll see. We'll probably just look at making more posts. I did cos secant squared. Cosecant squared. And hey, old schooling, how are you doing? I wouldn't say I'm a professor, because definitely not educated enough to be a professor. I'm it never hurts to acknowledge your knowledge. You know, I wouldn't even say I'm very knowledgeable. I'd say I'm just slightly average. How are you doing though? I got room for a couple more on the bottom and then hopefully enough room on the side. Came back from school? And what are you taking in school? Or, I guess, what year is a better question for most people. third year statistics. Oh, well, you're probably doing stuff that I have no memory of whatsoever now. Which means I can bring you in and you can teach me stuff, right? We can have a Discord call and you can teach me some statistics. Is there room for one more under there? Yeah, okay. Right now I'm just writing down all these integrals for a nice little Instagram post. Surprisingly, it has grown quite significantly. It's kind of messing with my head a bit. Like, I hit 2,000 followers on my Instagram yesterday morning, and now I'm at like 2,200. Really? It's based on what we're doing. Just like standard calculus stuff? I guess statistics ends up being more about applications rather than theory, right? Yeah, integrals for solving probability areas. I remember some of those. Let me ask you this. While you're here, what do you think is a better background for these kinds of things for me to post? I had one person mention or send me a message in broken English saying that the black ones aren't very nice and that I should stick to yellow or white. But I kind of like the blackboard look for doing posts and whatnot. I'm actually responding to Instagram at the same time. Yeah, see, I kind of like the blackboard look. But I had somebody say it doesn't look that good. Like, for writing a post, I think that looks pretty nice. I mean, of course, I'd use white, just like a chalkboard or something, right? What was the last one I did down there? Tan. Cotan. I know, I miss old school blackboards. In fact, when I was in school, I had 3 chalkboards up on my walls. I had one that was like posted right up here, and then I had another big one that I stood and wrote at way at the back. And then I had another hanging one, a whiteboard by my door. I used them all the time. Something about standing made it easier to think and do math. We used to always find a room in the library with a blackboard, and we'd do our homework and stuff on that and then write it down. Because it's way easier to work together that way. Nice. How often do you use your blackboard? Gives you the feeling of being an actual prof. Yeah. I used to write, so I had a small one that I used to write the formulas on, and then I would do the work on the big one. So I'd always have just to like glance back. And then when it came to proofs, well, honestly, I'm trying to make this actually my job, not necessarily free time. Oh, look. I actually just got a student that I help all the time. He's just messaging me on Discord saying he wants help. So what I do is I actually do a Discord call so that they see my screen in real time instead of having to wait for the delay of the stream. And then we talk one-on-one while the stream is there, and I think that works the best. He fell asleep after school. Okay. I'm gonna finish this post, and then it looks like Raj might need some help doing his homework. So we'll do this first. The next ones are a little bit lengthy. We'll try and finish this and making it look as nice as possible. Cool, man. Grab some dinner. What time zone are you in? Because it's 5 for me. I have to wait for my dinner. 7:12? Okay. So, East Coast. Man, everybody seems to be. Nice. Toronto. I'm in Saskatoon. Today's the last day of good weather that we think we'll get. Okay. It's kind of hard going through each one. Okay, natural law. What do you got going on here, Raj? Factoring. Okay. Sorry, I have to type over my monitor. Secant. Cosecant. Okay. I'm just getting Raj in the call here. There you are, bud.
Hey.
How you doing?
Pretty well. Like a 3-hour nap.
Well, 3-hour naps are, I guess, needed if you're missing an extra 3 hours of sleep every night. So,
yeah, so I stayed after for like half. Teacher's like, here, let's just take a practice test. It was great. And just I want to see what you remember. Okay?
mm-hmm.
And then, so I passed that easily, but it didn't count as because I didn't care.
Yeah.
I passed it. On the current stuff we're doing, right? And then she hands out the actual text to me. Because I was the only one. I was one of the people over there. But I was like in my class.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is it? She was just like, do it. And
yeah, okay.
I got like half and she told me it was a test, and I immediately blanked out. I was like, oh shit.
Interesting.
So she figured out that I have test anxiety.
That is a very interesting thing. Test anxiety, you say?
Mm-hmm. Like me, I'll understand the material and we're reviewing it and doing it for homework. I sit down and take a test and I'll go completely blank.
How can we overcome that?
I don't know.
Well,
so my teacher's gonna try to figure something out with that.
Because I mean, you're gonna end up taking tests in your life.
Well, yeah, obviously. But see, it's not for any other it's not for like any other of my classes. It's just math. It's like I sit down. It's like, what am I supposed to do? You give me an English test. It's like I got this. You give me a science test. I got this. Like I'll remember formulas and shit off the back of my hand. You give me a math test. What am I doing?
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
My mom just made pasta with spinach sauce.
Spinach sauce?
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? A bunch of oil and tomatoes and spinach, or what?
A little bit of olive oil, some freshly washed spinach, lemon, black pepper, a little bit of garlic, basil. You just put that in a food processor, blend it all up to it's a nice sauce. And then cook whatever your favorite kind of pasta is, top that with it, add some parmesan, some diced cherry tomatoes.
So you blend it.
Mm-hmm. That's how you get the sauce.
Okay, cool.
And I made some tofu earlier. It was pretty good. Like, I don't know if that's just a vegetarian thing, but it's a craving of mine, so.
Interesting. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, tell me. So are you sitting down? You got your homework in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How are you going to solve the first problem?
Well, let's see. The greatest common factor is B, and you can't factor down 8 or 7.
Okay. So this is no longer greatest common factor, right? Because you can't factor something out of all three of these terms, right?
Well, she gave us a list of steps that we wrote down earlier.
Okay, good. So let's start there.
Step number 1. Look for greatest common factor. If appropriate, factor out the greatest common factor. There's no greatest common factor here.
Exactly. So what's the next step?
Multiply A by C.
Okay, I'm assuming you... Let me get this back to normal.
Well, she
here.
said A for this whole worksheet's going to be 1. B is going to be 8.
Yeah, I'm assuming you were given this
C's
formula.
Gonna be 7. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what were your steps again? Factor a GCF.
Mm-hmm. There is none. So
Okay.
you multiply A by C, which is 7.
So, and then you do A times C. And then, so what happens if you have A times C? What does it do?
Find two numbers with the product equal to A times C and the sum equal to B.
Ah.
So what plus what equals 7? But those two numbers times
So
that equals 8.
it's also fair that you haven't learned the quadratic equation yet. Interesting. Okay, so you're learning factoring without knowing the quadratic equation.
Would me knowing the quadratic equation make it easier?
Well, okay, let me tell you this. The quadratic equation gives you the two roots of a quadratic equation. So, those two roots are actually also the two factors that you're going to use.
Still a little bit confused, but no
Okay,
comment.
no worries about it. Let's go and look at what you were talking about. So first you wanted to find two numbers that are multiplied to give you A times C, and two numbers that add to B.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to write this in another way.
I'll just send you a picture of my steps.
Okay,
That way
send
you
me a
can have
picture.
Yes, so I think my friend,
I didn't hear you.
my friend
You-
broke his screen for his iPhone, and he ordered a new one, right?
Okay, so they're written in words.
Yeah. So he ordered a new screen, and he was like, "Does anybody know how to replace this?" I was like, "I got you." So he ordered a new screen, so I replaced it. I was like, "Dude, it's gonna be free of charge. Don't worry about it." He's like, "I'm gonna feel bad for not paying you," so he's just like, "I'll give you 10 or whatever," and then he's like, "I don't really care about money since I have a job and they pay me anyway." And then so his screen wouldn't fit in because his iPhone frame, he dropped it so many times that it was deformed. So I had to sit there and heat it and then bend it back into place. So I threw in another $5 and he was okay with paying 15. And then I'm gonna replace my my Latin teacher's iPhone screen as well, and his other chick. I think she has an iPhone 8, so I'm gonna figure out how that works.
Okay. This seems... It seems like a lot more steps than what it really is.
I have no idea.
Honestly, it does seem a little bit intense, even though it's pretty simple. I'm gonna just write these down for you to try and interpret it.
Because I know Chroma Prime and that stuff dropped earlier today, so I want to get this stuff done so I can play with Krendel. And he probably just got off work not too long ago, so I want to get this done by 8:30 to 9 o'clock-ish, so an hour to an hour and a half.
Now I have 4 terms by grouping method.
13 problems.
Oh, check by foil. Hey Robbie, I'm we're doing some. Where are you again? Virginia, Raj?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing some Virginia math, algebra 2, I believe you said.
Mm-hmm. Is that your other math tutor friend?
Well, it's more people from around the world. I don't know what to really tell you.
That's fun.
Robbie here is a graduate, recent graduate, right? Okay, so trying to determine your question here. Your question is b squared plus 8b plus 7. And you want to factor this.
You can't.
Well, let me go through this with you. Honestly, all these steps is more confusing to me than just doing it, so I'll try and do your steps to try and be the same as you. So first part, greatest common factor, like you said, there is nothing that can be factored out. So let's multiply a times c. A times c is 7. Look, 1 and 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We know a times c is 7. Find two numbers with the product equal to a times c, and the sum of it is equal to b. So we need two numbers, a times, I'm going to say x plus y, because I want it to be different. X times y has to equal 7. And they need to add up to 8. Okay. You with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
So, let me ask you this. What two numbers multiply to 7?
None. 1 times 7.
There you go, 1 times 7. Does 1 and 7 add up to 8?
Mm-hmm.
So you found your two numbers, 1 and 7. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Raj.
Yeah.
Your two numbers is 1 and
1
7.
and 7.
Okay. Now, following your steps here, we're going to replace b with those two numbers. So b is our 8. So b squared
Plus 1x. Or plus x.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna. I would
Just
normally.
put the 1 there because just. Yeah.
I'd write it like this. Oh, not squared. I think this might be a little.
That's a bit overboard, bud.
Well, we'll
Yeah,
see, Robbie.
I got b squared plus b plus 7b plus 7. Basically what you have.
Okay. Yeah,
And
following
from
your
it's just like a
steps here.
normal thing, isn't it?
What?
From here is just normal factoring it down, like for the other equations that we did last week, right? Was it last week or yesterday we did them?
You were doing factoring before. So
Yeah.
now it says you have 4 terms by grouping.
Mm-hmm.
So remember your grouping?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you have for a greatest common factor in the first one?
B.
Okay. You take that out. What do you have left?
Oh, b plus 1.
Good. What about the second one?
Plus 7, because 7 is the greatest common factor.
Good.
And then b plus 1.
Good.
And then your last equation is going to be equal to b plus 7. In one set of parentheses, and then the other it's going to be b plus 1.
Good. And now you're going to check by foiling, right?
Well, we're not required to.
Well, let's do it anyways for the first couple so that you understand.
Okay.
So foil this back out. So what's the first one?
B squared
Good. Next one.
plus 1b, or b,
Sure. Next one.
plus 7b plus 7.
You finish simplifying?
What do you mean?
So you got two terms that are the same. You want to simplify those, right?
So, like, get rid of them?
You want to add them together, you know? Add like terms.
Oh, well then you get b squared plus 8b plus 7.
And that's the same as your original equation.
Yep.
Good. Okay, so you were able to follow those steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if I told you that you could literally be done once you found the 1 and 7?
That could also be true because the numbers that you get when you take, like when you do the sum and the product, those are going to be your final answer. So you could just plug those in and be done.
Well, we'll see. We'll go on to the next one. We'll let you like keep thinking about it so it gets into your mind. Okay?
Okay.
So
M squared plus M minus 90.
I'm gonna keep on the similar stuff so that you. Okay. M squared plus M minus 90.
Well, M is going to be your greatest common factor here.
Well, does it come out of all three terms?
No.
Okay. So there is no greatest common factor to take out to begin with, right?
Right. And that 90 is going to be a negative 90.
Yeah, negative 90.
Now, I have a question. Do I think of it as like a number line when I do it?
In what way do you mean?
So let's just go let's go figure out A, B, C first. A equals 1.
Okay.
B equals N. Or 1.
Right.
And
Okay.
C equals negative 90.
Okay.
Now we figure out stuff for 90, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be 1 times negative 90.
So there's one factor.
And then would it be...
So remember...
This is what I was asking. Do I think of it as like a number line? So if I start at 1 and get to 90, wouldn't it be 1 plus 91?
So I'm gonna stop you a little bit. Remember, you have two criteria that you have to meet. The two numbers multiply together to give you minus 90. But when you add them together, they give you 1. Okay? Because your B is 1 in this case.
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to think of two numbers again. Two numbers that when you add them together, they give you 1. But when they multiply together, they give you 90. Minus 90.
I don't know.
Okay. Let me go with this. You know that it's a negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know that one of them is going to be a minus and one of them is going to be a plus, right?
Right.
Okay. When you add a minus and a plus together, it's like finding the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about it, all you need to do is find two numbers that are separated by 1 that multiply to give you 90.
90.
By two numbers that are separated by a 1.
89 and 90.
Yeah, but they don't multiply to give you 90. 89 and 90 is a big number.
Then I don't know.
Think smaller. What's 10 times 10?
100.
Okay, you're a little close now.
10 times 9.
Okay, 10 times 9 is a difference of 1. You found your 2, right? Raj?
Yeah.
Look. 10 times 9 is 90. The difference between 10 and 9 is 1.
Oh.
See that? I guess what I should really type is minus 9. Now do you see?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's continue. Find and do the rest of this problem.
I got m squared plus 10x minus 9x minus 90.
Okay, wait. M squared,
Plus 10x,
so m, because m is your variable,
or m,
minus
minus
9m
9m
minus
minus
90.
90.
Okay. Now you're grouping.
So we have m for the first one,
Okay.
and then 1 plus 10.
And by 1 you mean m, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
See, like, I see it easier as numbers instead of variables. So if there's supposed to be a variable there and you hear me say a number, then like it's going to be a number. Or it's going to be a variable.
Okay. The only reason I want you to clarify is so that I know that you're actually writing it down right.
Okay.
Okay, what's your next one?
And then 9, these are going to come factor from 90 and 9.
Okay.
Should be minus 9, and then in parentheses, m plus 10. Because a negative divided by a negative is a positive.
Good. Okay, you go. Okay, what do you got left?
M minus 9 in one set of parentheses, and another set m plus 10.
Boom. Now, she said you don't need to check by FOIL.
No, not for these ones.
Okay. Normally, you would just double check, but if you're efficient enough at it, you don't usually need to. You can usually check mentally even.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm doing on the side here.
Good. Good, good, good.
Squared plus 10 and 9 minus 90. There you go.
Okay,
Number
next
5.
one.
N squared minus 10n plus 9. And this one's just like the last one.
Okay. Is there a greatest common factor?
Nope.
Good. What's A times C?
9.
Okay. So, we need what?
Well, it has to multiply to get 10.
Multiply
No,
to get...
multiply to get 9.
Yeah. So
And
I'm going to
add
say
10.
x times y is 9. And you wanted x and y to add together to give you minus 10.
So it'd be 1 times 9.
Okay. What's their
And
sign?
your other option would be 3 times 3.
But if you add that together, you don't get 10, right?
Well, yeah, I'm placing the negatives just now on my paper. Negative
Okay.
1 times 9, and then negative 3 times 3.
Okay, so which ones are your factors? Which ones is the ones that work?
The first one.
Okay,
1
so
and 9.
what are your signs?
For the 9, they're both going to be positive since your 9 is going to stay a positive. And then for your 10, it's going to be 1 minus 9. Or
So-
9 minus 1.
So let me ask you. So you've got two factors. You've got 1 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want them to add up to minus 10.
So
Right.
negative 1 plus negative 9.
Right. Negative 1 and negative 9. Because when you multiply those together, the two minuses become a plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now continue. What's the next part?
So n squared comes first. Give me a second. I jumbled the order of this real quick. So
That's okay. I don't really mind the order.
1 n minus 9n plus 9. And I grouped it already. So it'd be n Give me a sec.
Okay.
Okay, I just need to become. And then inside your parentheses be n minus 1.
Good.
And then you on your other one you'd have 1 on the outside.
Okay.
Then 9. Wait, no. You'd have 9 on the outside.
Okay, good.
And then n minus 1.
So are you taking away? What's the sign in between them? Is it a minus 9?
Subtraction.
Okay. And now you have n minus 1. Good. Now what's next?
And then you combine the n minus 9 in one set of parentheses, and then the other one you have n minus 1.
Brilliant. Now, this method, do you get it pretty well? The grouping and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Cool. All right. Let's continue. What's the next one?
M squared.
So, question, do you have to do all of these?
No, just the row, the whole row that I sent you is the one I have to do.
So, the whole leftmost column?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's 13 questions.
So, we've got m squared plus 2m minus 24.
A times C equals 1, 2, D equals negative 24.
A times C is what?
Negative 24.
Okay, good. So, what are two numbers that equal negative 24 and add together to give you positive 2?
Negative 24, you get negative 2 and 12.
Okay, do they add together to give you 2?
No.
Okay, what's another factor?
6 times 3, I guess? No. 8 times 3.
8 times 3, okay. Do they add together to give you 2?
No.
Okay, what's another factor?
1 times the negative 24.
Does that add together to give you 2?
No.
Okay, what's another factor? I'll give you a hint. You were closer with your 8 and 3.
6 and 4.
Okay.
That adds up and gives you 10.
Well, remember you have minus 24. So, what are your signs on your 6 and 4?
6 times negative 4. And then for the 2, it's going to be 6 minus 4.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got a minus 4 and you've got a positive 6.
Yep.
Okay.
M squared plus 6m minus 4m minus 24. M.
So you've got m first to take out. What do you left on the inside?
M minus 6. You have m, yeah, m minus 6.
Is it a minus or a plus?
Plus, my bad.
Okay.
I didn't look at the sign.
Next one.
And then you have 4.
So I'm assuming you mean
minus
minus
4.
4. Okay, good.
Yeah. Because the sign from the middle is just going to drop down.
As long as you understand the process that you're doing, then that's fine.
Okay.
So you've taken out a minus 4. What are you left with the inside?
M plus 6.
Good. So what's left?
M minus 4 and then M plus 6.
Brilliant. Next problem.
K squared. It's 13k plus 40.
Okay, Raj,
Yeah?
did I tell you I got my very first subscriber?
You told me this, I think, yesterday.
Oh, I was just so pumped, you know. Never had one of those before.
Not even on your YouTube channel?
I have a couple on the YouTube, but that's subscribers on YouTube. Subscriber on Twitch is the pay for ones, right?
Like with Twitch Prime and all of that?
No, well, Twitch Prime is a version, but this is the one where you literally pay with your credit card.
Oh, so you can give like donations and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because now you're affiliated, aren't you?
Yeah.
Lit.
Okay.
I follow you, but I don't have any money to donate. I'll also give you like $5.
Yeah, no worries, bud. The whole point of it is to be free.
That's true. Yeah, when my parents first heard about you, they were like, "He's not charging you money, is he?" I was like, "Nah, like we play games together, so it's." And he does it. He streams it, so like if you send him work and you need help, he'll put it up on his stream, so it's free anyway. Like my parents were like low key concerned that I was spending money. It's like there's nothing going on. I'm not stealing any money.
I'm surprised. Wouldn't parents be happy to give money to a tutor?
Yeah, I don't know why. They're like, I don't know.
That's okay. Whatever. We're just gonna make sure you pass your class.
Oh yeah.
Okay, next one. K squared minus 13k plus 40.
A is going to be 1, B is going to be negative 13, and C is going to be 40. You're going to be left with 14, or you're going to be left with 40 to find your multiplication for,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to find something for negative 13 that you add or subtract to get negative 13.
Okay. So, what is your factors?
Got 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, 5 times 8. There it is, 5 times 8.
Okay. What are the signs of your 5 and 8?
Negative 5 plus negative 8.
Negative 5 and negative 8. Awesome. You got that right away. So, how do you do the rest of it?
K squared minus 5k plus, or no, there's no plus, minus 8k plus 40.
Okay.
K is your greatest common factor from the first part.
Okay.
You're left with k minus 5, and then on the inside you're left with 8, and so it's going to be k, let's see, k, and then negative 8, negative 40 divided by negative 8 is negative 5.
Okay, so you wrote a negative 8 and you've got k minus 5. Can you close your door?
My door's closed, they're in my kitchen yelling at each other.
That's inconvenient for us.
Yeah, my room is right next to my kitchen, which I hate. Like I have like a love-hate relationship with my room. It's next to the kitchen, so if my mom's cooking food, I can smell it, and it smells good. But when they argue, they always argue in the kitchen because they can't argue in the office because there's security cameras and they like throw shit around at each other and all that.
Interesting.
And it's like customers come in and out of there, so they can't argue there.
Well, okay, let's continue then.
Downsides of having every bipolar family member in your family.
Okay, what's the next part?
K minus 8 and K minus 5.
Good. Now, all of these are relatively the same until we hit 15, I believe.
Alright.
So, I want you to do the next 2 without my help. And tell me when you're done.
Are you just gonna cut the screen sharing and do them on your own, and that way I can make sure with you?
No, I'm just going to. I'm going to finish my Instagram post while you're doing that, and then I'll go back to it when you're done, and I'll double check.
Okay, cool.
Because I know you can do it. Okay.
Only when they argue, I'm tempted to lose my shit.
Well, don't lose your shite there, bud. You just gotta do your math, get it over and done with, and then you can.
Okay, let's see. Negative 56. It's gonna be.
Yeah, it's the next two. They're pretty simple.
7. Done.
Yeah, good. You did both of them? 11 and 13?
I factored down the 56 from number 11, and that's 8 times 7, or negative 8 times 7, and then 8 minus 7.
So, okay, wait. 8 minus 7 gives you negative 1?
Whoa, what do you mean negative 1? Oh, B's negative 1.
Yeah.
That'd be 7 minus 8. Give me a sec.
Okay, I will just mute you on the stream until you're back. So I'm still in the call with you. I hear you, it's just nobody else does. Well, kind of. We'll see about that.
N squared.
It's 8n minus 56.
Okay.
Okay, for number 11, I got n minus 8 and n plus 7.
Yep.
Alright, cool.
I told you, you know how to do this.
Let's see, what times what gives you 8, but adds and subtracts to make 6. We have 2 and 4. Yeah, that's it. 2 times 4. 4 plus 2.
Okay.
And then b squared plus 4b plus 2b plus 8. Group that off. So b plus 4, and then 2b plus 4. So we have b plus 2, and then b plus 4. Right?
Okay, so 13?
B plus 2 and then b plus 4.
Let me ask you something.
What?
When you FOIL them back out, do they add to -6?
Oh, it was -6, wasn't it? -4 plus -2. My B. B squared minus 4b minus 2b plus 8.
Okay.
So we have b in the parentheses, b minus 4 minus 2 b minus 4, and then so that equals b minus 2 b minus 4.
So the question you're doing is b squared minus 6b plus 8.
Mm-hmm.
And you're factoring these, right? You said your factors are?
For 8, it's 2 times 4, and for -6, it's -4 plus -2.
Okay, so you know they're both -4 and -2.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you broke it down in what way?
B squared
Mm-hmm.
minus 4b minus 2b plus 8. And then you group them off.
Okay.
And then you get b, and then in parentheses you get b minus 4, and then minus 2. And the other side of the parentheses you get b minus 4 as well.
Okay, good. So you ended up with?
2 minus b, and then b minus 2, and then b minus 4.
Great.
Cool.
Okay. Now, you are ready to do 15.
You go dump that in the tub. I told you either dump it in the tub or in the plants outside. That. Dump it either in the tub or the plants outside. Because that makes so much noise.
You're dumping it in the sink.
Okay. I should probably just wear headphones sometime
Leave
here.
that off. Leave that off. I'm doing something. Lecture. Cool. I'll do it whenever I want. Get it done. You have 2n squared 6n a equals 2, doesn't it?
Okay. Yes, you are right. You've got a different kind of equation now. You've got 2n squared plus 6n minus 108. And is there a greatest common factor? Because you start there first, right?
Right.
So is there a greatest common factor?
2.
Okay. So if you take out a 2, what's left?
Square. 3n.
Plus.
3n.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Negative 64.
64 times 2 is what?
Negative 32. Negative 16. 40. Negative 2.
No. What's 108 divided by 2?
64.
64 times 2 is 128.
No, that's it.
Yeah, there you go. Now, how can you factor the inside?
We have a equals 1.
Mm-hmm. Next part.
B equals 3. C equals
Okay.
solving 54.
So, two numbers need to multiply together to give you what?
4.
Good. And then they need to add together to give you what?
3.
Good. What two numbers come to mind?
So, 22.
Do those two numbers add together?
54 divided by 2. Which,
Okay. Think of more factors. More factors of 54. You want a little simpler. Tree Bandito. Okay, good. You're here. Okay, Raj, I want you to think about two numbers. Remember this is negative? Negative 54? Remember that other question before I said the difference between the two of them?
Yeah, I think it was number 7.
No, it was 3.
Oh.
But it doesn't really matter. So just the idea. So the difference between the two of them was 1 in that case. The difference between the two of them here is 3. Tree Bandito and Robbie, we are just doing some factoring problems. This is Algebra 2. Okay, Raj. What two numbers multiply together to give you 54, but are only separated by 3? So they have to be kind of small, because remember, 10 and 7 would be 70, so it's got to be a little bit smaller than that.
Nine and 7. Wait, no, 9 and 6. That's
There you go. Yeah, see, Tree Bandito just talked about it. list all the factors, go through the numbers, and look for the ones that are 3 apart. Okay. So you've got 9 and 6.
Right, now I have a question though.
Sure.
If you go to plug these numbers in with the equations inside the formula, wouldn't you get 5 terms?
Say that again. 5 what?
Wouldn't you get 5 little like numbers? You get the 2 from the outside and then the like 4 from the inside.
You remember the 2 is acting on the outside of the parentheses? We're only dealing with inside the parentheses.
Okay.
So, we've got 2 factors, 9 and 6. What are the signs on these factors?
Give me a sec here.
Okay, okay. In the meantime, Tree Bandito, did you take a look at your notes to see if you found anything about interest rate formulas? Because what I can do is 2 things at the same time. Yeah. No. Maybe I have the wrong person. Oh, you just saw it. Okay, cool. I'm actually waiting on another person from my Instagram that messaged me that's talking about interest rates. He's asking about business math. I'm waiting for him to join. Ah, cool. Calc 3 introduction. So what is Calc 3? When I went to university, it was like vector calculus 1 and 2. It didn't say a Calc 3.
Vector who to what?
Oh, just talking about vector calc stuff. Anyways, Raj, you're back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what are the signs on the 9 and the 6?
For the 54, right?
Yeah. So remember...
-9 times 6.
Okay, so remember they have to add together to give you positive 3.
And for the 3, I got 9 minus 6.
There you go. So remember they gotta be together. So you have a positive 9 and a minus 6.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so tree it would be like vector calc was for me. Probably vector calc 2 had more flow and fluid dynamic stuff. Okay, Raj, what's your formula going to be now? So you still have your 2 on the outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now what do you write on the inside?
N squared plus 9n minus 6n minus 108.
Are you sure? 108 or 54?
Negative 54.
Right, because we're dealing with inside the parentheses right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Now what?
So you're grouping, right?
You get the n squared and the 9n.
Okay,
And you get the 6n and then minus 4.
good. So, what are you left with? So you still have your 2 on the outside. You always carry that down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is your factors here?
N.
So I'm going to give you a bit of a hint. you can draw a different type of bracket or parentheses to make it easier on yourself to realize that it's there.
Okay, gotcha.
Because there's still the 2 has to act on everything, and right now you're just dealing with the inside. Okay, so you took out an N in your first one. What are you left with?
Give me a sec. N, and then you have N plus 9.
Good. Next one.
Then you have -6.
And on the inside?
N plus 9.
Good. So now what do you have for your final?
Two bracket. And in parentheses, N minus 6. In another set of parentheses, N plus 9. Bracket.
Well, now you don't need the extra brackets. It's kind of redundant at the point now, but it made sense in the line before so that you ensure that you're keeping everything grouped together properly.
Okay.
It's kind of like grammar in English. You got to make sure all your punctuation's in the right place to make sure it makes sense all the way through.
Right. Dude, guess what I learned today? I was just like cruising around YouTube, and a bunch of my YouTube stuff is just science, space, and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like cool tech. So they made this thing. So it's like, you know how people give you CPR?
Yep.
They made this thing and they wrap it around your chest, and it basically gives you CPR without breaking your bones. And your like sternum and all that. It gives you CPR without breaking it. It's like, wait, what? Science is like at that point. Well, in general, it's just kind of crazy to see what science can do.
Okay. I want you to start the next problem. Which one is the next one anyways? 17? Yes. Okay, can you start the next problem while I try this other one that Robbie asked?
Yeah.
Okay. Try it. If you get stuck, tell me.
Okay.
So Robbie asked about A is 3, B is 19, and C is 5. Let's use the quadratic equation to see if we can find that if it has any roots. So if it has roots, then it would be factorable, right? With the algorithm, it should work. As long as it has roots, real roots. If it has radical roots, then it wouldn't work so well. So let's double check. What's 19 squared minus 60? What were they? 2 times 3. Ooh, 301. Just 301 square. I don't think it'll work. Square root of 301 is not even. It's not a integer number, so I don't think it'll work. It only works with integer numbers, I believe. We could try it though. What did we say? A times C, so it's got 15. So we need two numbers that multiply to 15, but they need to add together to give you 19. Yeah, but this method, though, for Robbie. This algorithm, like, it'll work with a computer for sure, but we're talking, like, kids with their hands, right? That's what this algorithm's for. Can you think of two numbers that add together to give you 19, but multiply together to give you 15? Without using radicals? Yeah. It's interesting, though. Definitely a good side note. I know, this method is confusing to me, too.
Okay,
Honestly,
hold on, we're number 17.
Okay, let's take a look. Honestly, off the top of my head, I don't remember the EA-type formula. 17. 2k squared plus 22k plus 60. So what did you get for your answer?
2k, and then in parentheses, k plus 6. Wait, like my answer, like the next step?
No, your answer.
Oh. 2k plus 6, and then k plus 5.
Looks right to me. Next one. Oh, I see you using. I see what you're talking about.
Isn't number 19 like the first ones that we did?
Well, it's just a different one. It's similar.
It's kind of like number 1, except there's different numbers and variables.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, they're all going to be the same, or very similar.
Just the ones with numbers trip me up a little bit. That's it.
Yeah, Robbie, it does make sense. The only thing is,
Go to sleep. Well, it's 8:30, so you better go to sleep soon.
yeah, those would be the roots. See, we're not finding necessarily the roots. We are just factoring the formula. If it was finding the roots, that would be a different story. Okay, Raj. Next one. Actually, you're doing it on your own at the moment, aren't you? You're doing pretty good.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Let's see.
The rest of these are pretty lengthy, so maybe I won't. Okay. I will check this afterwards. I probably have to change my L's a few times because I have a tendency to change the way I write L's.
I was gonna ask, what is that other thing you have on your other fingers?
On this hand?
Yeah, like I saw your stream, you had like a glove-looking thing on your hand. I was like, what the hell is that?
So I'm using a tablet monitor, and it's got a surface on it that you don't really want to scratch and whatnot or have too much static on. So they provide a little glove that you can wear to rest your hand on the monitor without scratching it and stuff like that, or putting any oils on it.
I thought it was for like, so if you accidentally place your fingers on the screen, it doesn't like switch your pen pointer over to there.
No, actually, you can rub your hand all over it and it does nothing. Only the pen has a sensor, so the pen is what moves the mouse.
Because I've seen tablets where like you can have the pen off like the little docking station for the pen, and you can like scribble around with your finger.
No. Okay, I will be right back. I want you to continue solving these. My dinner is ready and getting cold, so I'm gonna go quickly grab it.
Okay.
So I want you to continue, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna have to write something.
Just open up a new sheet saying BRB.
Surprisingly, opening a new sheet is more difficult than you may think.
Oh.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm gonna go watch this Twitch stream for a little bit. Oh, Brains apparently gets sponsored by ads. Interesting. Spooky, scary skeleton.
I apologize. I am back with my food.
Aye.
And I will eat it awkwardly.
I swear to God, if you start doing ASMR on your Twitch, I'm gonna like low-key be mad.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
It's like, you know how people do that shit with the slime and then they like, or they eat food like really close to the mic? I forget what ASMR stands for, but it's like, what people will do, they'll go buy a bunch of food or whatever, and then they'll like eat really close to the mic, and hella awkward.
Oh, okay.
You still haven't popped up on stream yet. I was watching your stream. It's been like a whole 10 seconds.
Yeah, the delay is about 15 seconds or so. It's really unfortunate. I've tried reducing it as much as I can, but since I'm dual streaming, it takes a little bit.
Robbie expert. Hey.
Okay.
There you go. You just got back on stream.
So, what did you do without me? Which problems?
I got 19 done. But by the way, people on stream can hear me, and I feel hella awkward now. Because I was just casually like working out the problem, and then I go back to your stream as soon as I was done, and I could hear myself like echoing in the stream.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to get some headphones. I don't really have good ones for this.
The ones that I showed you the other day, they're like $50. They're pretty cheap and really good. The best, but they're really good quality for budget headphones.
It's okay for now. Anyways. What did you get for 19?
P plus 1, P plus 1.
Say that again?
P plus 1, and another set of parentheses, P plus 1.
What is P plus 1 squared?
P squared plus 1. Right?
I want you to FOIL this out. And tell me, does it equal P squared plus 11P plus 10?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
What did I do wrong then?
I think you are missing a 0.
Where?
Well, P plus 10 and P plus 1.
You're right.
Okay. Okay, next problem. Or are you going to go through and double check to make sure that you made sure your numbers are right?
I'm doing that right now.
While you're doing that, I'll double check this integral post to make sure that everything's right on it.
Okay.
Did I miss any C's? That's the question. That doesn't really count. No, I didn't miss any C's. Did I miss any DXs? Yes, I did. Dang it. Okay, let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
So, what's the next one?
Give me a sec.
Okay. I really wish I didn't have to eat near the camera, but oh well. I'll have a new table soon. That's much longer, so I'll be more spread out. I should have a better way, and I can raise it so I can actually stand at it and use a bar stool.
That's good.
Which will be much nicer for doing this. I won't be so
Would you not
cramped.
like desk chairs?
Well, I don't have a desk chair. I don't have enough room.
What kind of chair do you use then?
I'm using a old, basically like dinner table chair from like Yisk or something. With a seat cushion, because sitting on it.
I always wanted to do like, you've ever seen those mud races?
No.
But it's like people go, it's like a giant obstacle course, but like 90% of the stuff on that course involves mud, and you have to go through all of it, and it looks so cool.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I want to do one of those.
Okay, this question. You've got what, 3 left? Let's power through them.
I do.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're on 21.
Liddy gang. Okie dokie.
Robbie, how is your latency to broadcaster only 2.6 seconds? You're not 2.5 seconds away, like latency to me. I think it's because I'm going through Restream. You might be 2.6 seconds away from the Restream server. Okay, Raj, continue.
Greatest common factor is 2.
Okay, what are you left with?
P squared plus P minus 2.
Alright. So, what are your factors?
What? Give me a sec. I'm looking at the ones up top. So, 2p squared divided by 2. I'm confused.
Okay, whoa. You're just dealing with these, right? Inside the brackets?
Okay.
Okay, you're back. You know what you're doing.
A little bit. Let's see. The p is just gonna stay a 1. So what can you multiply to give you -2, but add or subtract to give you 1?
So you'll have 2 factors.
-1 times 2, and then 2 minus 1.
Yeah, so you've got a 1 and a 2 The 1 is minus and the 2 is positive.
Right.
Good. So, how would you break this down?
P squared minus 1p, or p by itself.
Yep.
And then plus 2p minus 2.
Good.
I don't even know what tomorrow's rest day. I get 2 rest days because I didn't wake up this morning because somebody kept turning off my alarm. It's either that or I hit off instead of snooze or something. So I didn't wake up on time to go work out. But my friend gave me a bottle of cologne today. The guy that I work out with, the buff guy that I sent you a picture of.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me a bottle of cologne today. Guess how much it's worth?
I don't know, $60.
Exactly.
Cool. Good
And
guess.
His dad buys him a bunch of like cologne and stuff for his birthday, and like when he comes by and visit because his parents are divorced. So he just has like half a closet full of nothing but like new packed cologne and stuff because he's
Okay.
never opened it.
Okay, Raj, let's finish your
Well,
homework.
I'm working while doing it.
Okay. So what's next?
And then you divide down the p. So you have 2 on the outside. P. What can I put a bracket instead of parentheses?
Yeah, of course. Here, you want me to write one just so it's a little nicer for you?
Yeah. And then p minus 1 plus 2, and then p minus 1.
Okay, cool. Next.
So you have 2 parentheses p plus 2 parentheses 2 no, p minus 1.
Good.
$23. Let's see, x squared is 15x plus 50. It's still crazy to think that you like your time zone is 2 hours behind where I am.
It's not that bad.
I know, but it'd be like same time zone. Then it'd be easier to understand like when I have to get off and then when we can do work and stuff.
Well, remember, I technically set my own schedule, so it doesn't really matter to me.
Right, but for me, it's like I have to remember what time to go to bed compared to you guys, and like when Crendel and them work and play and all that.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Oh, how'd that job interview go, by the way?
I got sick. I didn't go.
Ouch. That's not going to be fun when you actually have to show up.
It's okay, I don't need to be a salesman. I'm a tutor now, right?
True, and you're affiliated, so you will get donations.
Well, subscriptions, hopefully, sometime. But that's fine.
Well, I mean, all the streams I see, well, to you, it's a subscription, but for on our end, all we see is donated like $5 or whatever, donate like $3 or whatever.
Well, that's donations as well. That's set up as well. There's the 3 ways to donate to your favorite Twitch streamer.
Isn't it like PayPal and then the Twitch points?
Yeah, so there's the bits, there's subscriptions, so the monthly subscriptions, which you can do with Twitch Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is the direct donation, which is usually through Streamlabs, which is like a PayPal.
So do you have to link like a bank account to it?
Yes and no. So most of it's linked to my PayPal, and then PayPal will send it to my bank account.
Okay. So PayPal is just like a barrier in between making sure that nobody gets direct access to your account.
Well,
In basic terms.
there's more to it than that. I won't go into it.
50, and then negative 15. And let's see. 5 times 10, negative 10 plus negative 5. Ugh.
So I think you already found it. Negative 10 and negative 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So what?
X squared minus 10 x minus 5x plus 50.
Which then is what?
And you group it. So you get x minus 10. You have minus 5, and then x minus 10, which equals x minus 5.
Okay, wait.
X minus 10.
Go back. I'm missing a little something here. So how did you group this?
The x squared and minus 10x. That's
Okay.
one group.
Okay.
Yep, that like.
Oh,
like
there
that.
it is. Good. Okay. Next.
Next problem or like next step?
Next step.
And then I got, if you divide it out, you get greatest common factor from those two is x from the first group,
Mm-hmm.
and x minus 10. And then greatest common factor from the second group is minus 5.
Good.
And then in parentheses, x minus 10.
Good. Okay.
And when you solve it, you get x minus 5, and then x minus 10.
Brilliant. Okay. You got one problem left.
Mm-hmm. P squared plus 3p minus 18. Negative 18. 3. Negative 6 times 3 and 6 minus 3. So you have p squared plus 6x minus 3x.
Okay, so you got 6 and minus 3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've been trying to listen to make sure you know what you're doing, but you're already figuring it out way ahead of time.
My bad.
It's good. Normally you should be able to just look at it and be like, oh, it should be this and this.
God, I keep putting the variables as x instead of p.
That's just your... You just gotta get used to paying attention. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you got?
Give me 1 second. Alright, so I got p squared plus 6p minus 3p minus 18.
Good?
And then you group them off, the first two numbers and the second two numbers.
Okay.
Yep. So I got p parentheses p plus 6. And then minus 3. And then parentheses p plus 6.
Good.
Which equals p minus 3 p plus 6.
There you go. You did it. No problems. No problems whatsoever.
So now I understand more about, like, I understand this better, but now I also understand where it has, you have to take out like the 2's or whatever number it is. When you have to start with taking out the greatest common factor. That stuff makes a bit more sense.
Yep.
Okie dokie. Let's have a bit more fun. 85 questions. Oh boy. Where did I put that packet anyway?
So you still have to do your packet?
Yeah. I haven't even started, dude. I've been so exhausted the last 2 days.
Okay. Well, what should
We're
we
not
do
gonna
then?
get all of it done today. We're gonna try to do as much as we can. Up until like 9:30. On my end.
Okay. Well,
So,
I'll work with you on it. But if anybody else has any other things at the moment,
Oh yeah.
I'll switch between. Okay? I'm still waiting on the one guy to do his business math.
I'm like confused as hell right now.
But what?
I'm trying to figure out where the hell my packet went.
Oh, okay.
Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Is it this one? This one. There's so much simplifying. Got me. 6 times 3 is 18. It's 24, 6.
Okay.
I got the answer for number 1.
And did you send me an image of it?
I sent you the image of the first like the first page yesterday, I think.
Okay. Ah, yes, there it is. If you want, you can start. So in the Discord channel, I made a second chat for questions. If you want, you can start posting them in there.
That way you just get them in your free time. You can like do them as you go.
Well, then it's not separated between our talking. It's just in there, page by page by page.
Ah, okay. Good, let me go drop a couple of these in there. Brain math question. I'll just post like the first 3 in there right now.
Yep, that's perfect. And the idea is eventually more people will be in the channel that have to post questions, so they'll just post pictures of it in there.
Well, you're not adding randos to the channel, are you? Like people from your stream?
Well, I will be, yeah. When people want to do tutoring. That's the purpose of it.
Oh yeah, because well, I mean, I also just realized that we also game and post memes and stuff in here. So
Yeah, the general chat is like that. No, like if we want to have our own separate, we'll make our own separate with permissions.
Okay.
I mean, you still use the Warframe one. So.
Well, frequently, yeah, but I also post stuff in this chat. I love how I made an Iron Sight Discord and nobody uses it because we haven't played Iron Sight in so long.
Yeah, it happens.
So just have the empty Discord sitting there. trying to get my back. Oh boy.
Okay. So what... I want you to look at your problems and tell me what you have questions with.
I don't have questions with anything. It's just sometimes I get confused on things that I'm supposed to do that I forget to do.
Okay.
Like number 2, for example, it's just a big number, so.
But the big numbers shouldn't really affect anything. Shouldn't affect the process, right? The process stays the same. What does it matter if it's an 8 or 168?
Right.
So it's, I mean, it looks scarier, but nothing's really changed. It's also the same reason why people have problems with different variables, because it looks different, but it doesn't mean anything's really changed. It's just a translation. You know what I mean? Like, speaking different languages, you can still translate between the two of them, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's a dead language, but you know what I mean?
Latin. Okie dokie.
Okay. Also, by the way, I'm not looking at the numbers of the stream, so I actually have no idea how many or if anyone's actually watching. I'm just kind of dedicated to you right now, okay?
Okay. You have 2 people watching.
So, me and you.
Oh, you count as one too?
Yeah, because I have it in my dashboard. I mean, to be fair, my stream's pretty boring.
It's not I mean, to most people it's because it's probably math.
So, which question do you want to do?
Number 1.
Okay.
I got D for number 1.
So let's write it out. Cubed root of 24 x to the 4th y to the 4th. What did you do?
Simplify the 24.
Okay, what are the factors of 24?
2 times 2 times 2 times 3.
Good.
And then your 2, there's 3 of them, so that's your cube.
Okay.
You get your group of 3. And then you have one group of 3 x's and one group of 4y, or 3y.
Okay, so
2xy cube root of 3xy.
looks right to me, bud.
Number 2, 96.
So that's the 5th root. The fifth root.
I think it's kind of stupid though, because we get all these retest packets, right? But these packets are so long, and then we take a 15-question retest.
The idea of these packets is if you failed a test, it means you don't know it. So I'm going to give you enough questions that by the time you're done doing it, you know it inside out and backwards.
That's not healthy.
Think of it this way. You do it so much that you become proficient at it. Now, the only problem with that is if you don't do it, then you don't do it. If you struggle doing it and no one's there to help you, then you don't do it. Right?
Like, see, we've been in the stuff that we just finished. We did that. This is our like second or third day doing it, and I can solve things pretty easily in that. But like this stuff, I struggled with for some reason.
But you only struggled on the test. You didn't struggle actually doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I swear. My teacher says it's test anxiety. I don't know it.
Okay. Well, let's go through this and make sure you understand. Okay, what do you do first?
You simplify the 90. Which breaks down into 49.
40 what?
But trying to do it mentally. I'm trying not to use a calculator.
Okay.
$48, I think.
Okay, yep.
And 2. And the 48 breaks into and 2.
What into? 24?
And that breaks down into 2 and 12. 12 breaks down into 2 and 6. And then 6 breaks down into 3.
Okay. A little lengthy, but okay.
Well, I know you like it short and simple, but I'm trying to make it so I understand. And then you have, let's see, 2 on the outside, you have K on the outside. Because there's 6 Ks.
Okay.
B is the only one with K on the outside.
Well, you still finish it.
Well, then you have 3K on the outside.
Good.
162. What are you eating?
Pickle.
Pickles are good.
Okay. Next one.
Uh, 162. I'm gonna just start using a calculator and just go by a wee bit faster. Divided by 3, you get 54. Yeah.
54 is what?
Divide by 3.
Well, yeah. I just kind of want to split it up a little bit easier. How about 9 and 6?
Oh, okay. That works too. I was gonna go 18 and Yeah, same difference.
I just wanted the less branches on the tree, per se.
But then you don't get all the oxygen in the tree.
And one-sided trees. They're so fun.
Mm-hmm. I've actually seen a tree get hit by lightning and it just split straight down the middle.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
It was like across my road too. It was like 40 feet from my house.
Okay. You continue. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna get rid of my plate here.
Okay.
Keep it going.
3.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
So, let's continue.
For number 3, I got A.
Yeah, it would look like that too.
And then number 4, I got B. And then
Yep.
number 5, I got C. No. I got B.
What is 128 again? 2 to the power of 6 to the power of 7? Yeah, 2 to the power of 7. Okay. Yep, I'd go with B as well. Okay.
How do you do number 6?
How do you do number 6, you ask? Let me ask you, what looks different about it?
There's a number outside.
So?
Is that what you divide by?
I'm asking you, what does the number on the outside have anything to do with the inside?
Nothing.
Okay.
See. Scribble dabble. See, this is why sometimes I feel like having like one of the electronic pen things would be easier. That way I can just like write and then erase. But I'm eraser. And I'm not wasting lead. Or space.
Honestly, I always found for doing work, it's really nice to do your work on like a whiteboard or like I'm doing here on a pen tablet or a blackboard.
Yeah, that's why I want to get one of the, I can't stand blackboards. That chalk and chalkboard feeling.
Yeah, to each their own with that. But you know what I mean? It's really convenient to do like the work on it and then just
tomorrow go to like the dollar store and pick up like a whiteboard and marker.
Sure.
And that way after math class, like whatever math class, I can just have like make a to-do list. or something. I don't know. Let's see. 224 split 2. This is divisible by 2, I think. Or no. 220. It's 56. You get 4 and 56, and then 9 and 6. 3, 3, 3, 2.
I don't like this one as much, but whatever.
Okay, now I'm confused.
Okay, which one?
We're on number 6.
So what are you confused about?
I simplified 224.
Okay, I mean, what is its factors?
I got 4 and 56.
Okay.
And 56. Oh, that's what I did wrong. I did the 9 and 6 for 54.
Ah. So what does 56 break down into?
2 and 28.
Which breaks down into?
2 and 14, and then 7 and 2.
Okay. How many 2's do we have?
5. So we have 1 2 on the outside. So negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. And then we have 7 on the inside, so it's C.
Yes. You got it.
Let me see if I can find any problems that actually like trip me up on the quiz.
Well, see, the thing is, most of the time, there won't be any problems like that in North American high school. There shouldn't be any problems that deviate from the material. So
Okay,
actually,
I'm gonna send these to you through DM. But this kind of question really tripped me up.
okay. Maybe we'll go through why.
That one. And these two.
So 38 and 40.
Well, no. Yeah, 38 and 40, and then 41 and 40.
Okay. So do you want to go through that right now?
But like I'm just telling you that those are the ones that I need to work on extra hard because those are the ones that like really got me.
Okay, but do you want to go through just like a quick way to understand them right now?
I just say we wait till we get there because I'm gonna get there eventually tomorrow or the day after.
Okay, if you want to wait, we can wait.
Page 4. There's 12 pages.
Yeah,
12
you
pages
said
front
you
back.
got a big thing here. Now the only thing that is, to me, you seem to be doing these just fine. I don't want to become a.
These ones I understand, but like the examples that I sent you earlier, and then there's like ones with right here, and then here's another set that I don't understand.
Okay, well, I'd like it if, like, I don't want to become a crutch for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I want you to try these and tell me if you run into issues with them.
Just like do them off in my free time, like my
No. Like right now, I want you to try these.
the ones that I just sent you.
No, the ones in your packet. I don't think you're using complex numbers. Are you doing complex numbers now?
With the I and all of that.
Yeah.
We all we learned how to do was like if the I was inside of like a if we got a negative number inside an article, how to get the I outside of it. That's all we learned. This stuff I have no clue. Don't remember any.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you know what the definition of I is?
No.
Okay. I is the square root of -1. Or in other terms, I squared is -1. Okay?
Okay, so we had stuff like this. It was like I something equals -1. I something equals 1.
This
Negative I
is
something.
literally it. This is what I means.
But we had stuff where it was like I and then negative I as well.
Well,
We had 4 choices, and then we had something that equals 0, and then my teacher was like, remember it like $1. 25% of something is like this, and then 50% is this, and 75% $1. I think I have it in my notes. Let me see if I can find it.
okay.
Because if I can find this, it might make it a little bit easier for you to explain.
Yeah, I cubed. Well, what is I cubed?
I 1.
I squared times I, right?
Sure.
Okay, you're finding it in your notes.
Something with imaginary numbers.
Okay, what?
I know, she said this stuff is called imaginary numbers.
Yeah. The funny thing is they're in the math world, that's not really what they're called. They're called complex numbers. Saying they're imaginary gives it a negative connotation. Saying they don't exist, when in truth they do. It's just kind of a different frame of reference. Okay, let's take a look at these notes you just sent me here.
Look in the top right. The R1, R cubed, R3. Or R1, R squared, and then no remainder as well. That stuff tripped me up.
Remainder 1 is 0.25, which is I. I think it has something to do with a question you're doing. Okay. Exponent divide by 4. 42 divided by 4. What is this? 75. I to the 75 divided by 4. Okay. So this isn't the whole story, is it?
Not really. I mean, there's like some other couple pages.
So the thing is, okay, let me show you a few things here. Raj?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think your mother was talking, so I didn't know if you're still here.
I'll be in bed by 10:30. I don't know. Dad turned it on.
All right. No, give me a second here. Let me know when you're back.
He turns on nothing but.
Okay, are you back? Okay. So, on my screen, you see I squared, I cubed, and I to the power of 4. Raj? Okay. What is I equal? The square root of -1. Okay. So I squared is -1. Right. Now what's I cubed? Well, remember how the one up here I said I cubed is I squared times I, right? Negative. So negative square root of -1. Okay, which is -I. Okay. What's I to the power of 4? Good. Now, what is I to the power of 5? Well, what's I to the power of 5? I to the power of 4 times I, right? And we know from the previous one that I to the power of 4 is 1. So 1I. So it's cyclical. You see that? So the first one is I'm going through it with you. I'm going through it with you here. So the part on your board, the notes that she took, you're missing something. You're missing like a question to deal with. Maybe it was written on the board before or whatever, but it's not clearly explained.
I got pictures of people writing so fast.
Yeah, that's okay. So the whole idea is on hers, she has that example of 42. Okay. Well, in truth, she's wanting you to find out what is the answer of I to the power of 42.
Right, and she said group them by 4.
Yeah, Robbie knows. Okay, so that's why she's dividing by 4, because if you notice, there's can only be 4 different answers, and then it's just cyclical. Okay. Because the 42 divided by 4 is 10.5, right?
I think she's a good thing of and
Okay. So you're talking about I to the power of 40 times I to the power of 2. Good.
like when we actually have to solve it.
This is solving it. I don't know what else you mean. So basically we're reducing this to base form, to one of these 4 forms with a plus or a minus in front.
Right, but now go to the example for a second.
Which one are you referring to? So like 81?
How do you solve?
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. When you are doing radicals, do you remember rationalizing? So I'm going to write the same thing, but a little different. How do you get the radical on top? By what? You're trying to get this radical with the 3. You want to get that on top. By the square root of 3 on the top and bottom. Do you remember? Does that ring a bell? Okay. We did this before, where you multiplied by the conjugate. Do you remember that as well?
Yeah, I remember conjugate. You just take and flip this.
Right. But this is even simpler than those. This is the case before that. Do you remember?
This unit that we learned, it was actually like 2 and then another unit.
Okay. You did do a test on this like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, didn't you? Okay. And you've forgotten already. Okay.
Yeah, you give me stuff from unit 1 and I can only like the after value.
Okay. Well then, let's go back to basics. When you have something with a radical on the bottom, like 1 over the square root of 3, that's not in really a standard form. We like it when the radical is in the numerator, when there's no radicals in the denominator. Okay? So in order to do that, we would multiply by a number on the top and bottom such that the radicals kind of cancel out. Okay? Follow me so far? No, so repeat after me. I multiply by a number on the top and bottom. Go ahead, Raj. That cancels out the radical. Okay, say it again. Okay, how do you cancel out a radical? Right. So what you're doing is you're squaring it, right? Because the square root of x and then squared. Right. So I multiply by the top and bottom by the square root of 3, what do we get? You get 3 on the bottom, but you get your root 3 on the top, right? Okay. This exact same thing is how you solve these other problems with I.
So then you just multiply off.
Well, you don't need the 9. You just need the I, because remember, the I is the square root of -1. You're only working with the radical. Okay?
There's this one question. Remember it was like two square root of 8. 2 square root of -8.
Okay.
8 to the 4th.
Okay, you said a to the what?
And it had those division sign things. It's a
Like this?
yeah. E squared.
Okay. There is 2 ways you can do this. You can simplify the top first and simplify the bottom separately. And then you simplify afterwards once you've finished grouping. Or you can combine them together. So instead of having it a radical on the top and a radical on the bottom, you could be like the radical of -81, a to the 4th, b to the 5th, c cubed, all over 4b squared, c to the 4th. Do you see that? Okay. Now remember when the exponent rules?
Yeah.
So that's all you would have to do is this exponent rule to simplify, and then you would continue down the radical.
Right, but one of the answer choices for I variable.
Yep.
Get the I.
Yep. Well, it's the minus sign that we would get the I from.
Well, yeah.
So what is the square root of 81?
9.
Okay. What's the square root of 4?
2.
So if I start with those two, 9 and 2. Okay. Okay. Still waiting on Raj. Wait, do I even have you? I had you muted. I'm sorry. I wish I had known that you were muted.
Nah, it's all good. Okay. Where'd you get the negative A?
Because I didn't take out the minus sign yet.
See, we were told to do that as like the first step.
Hi, Elmo. How's it going? How's been your homework lately? So, well, you could take the I out first. Sure, take it out with it. So we'd get an I. Cool, Elmo. What do you need help with? Okay, Raj.
Yeah.
Can you see how to finish the rest of this radical?
Yeah, and then you just simplify it out.
So how would you simplify it?
Well, you solve this stuff on the outside first.
Okay, which would be what?
2. No, you'd multiply that, wouldn't you?
You've got 2 divided by 2 times 9i.
2 divided by 2 is 1.
Okay. So that's it. You're left with 9i. Okay.
Yeah.
What about your radical? What are you doing on the inside of your radical?
You're taking stuff out that equals the square root. So you'd have a squared,
Okay.
and then b cubed.
So you've got b cubed left, right? On the inside? Raj?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a b squared. That cancels out with 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
And you've got c to the power of 4th and a c cubed. So 3 of them cancels out 3 of these. You're left with 1. So what's left inside the radical? And what do you still have to take out?
You have to take out a b, and then on the inside, you're left with b squared for...
Well, you took out a b squared, so you're left with only 1b, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then on the bottom?
You're left with a c.
Okay. Now, technically, you are not done yet. Because I'm assuming your teacher doesn't like to have this square root of c on the bottom.
We weren't told anything about that. I have no idea what to do any further than that.
Well, remember how I just was telling you about rationalizing, where you multiply by...
Right.
Right? Okay.
So you'd multiply by c.
You'd multiply by the square root of c on the top and bottom. Okay?
So it's basically like conjugating.
Yeah. If you want to think of it that way. It's just that there's no, like, difference. There's no conjugate difference. You're not changing any signs. It's just rationalizing.
Okay.
Elmo, what do you need help with there, bud? You trying to take a picture of your homework? So, what are you left with, Raj?
You'd have 9i a squared and b
Mm-hmm.
with a c on the outside, right?
Well, look at the top first.
to b squared of c.
So square root of, there's still a b up here on the top, right? And there's another one, the c, so b times c under the square root, right? And then if you notice the bottom, you still got the square root of c times the square root of c.
Somebody was just knocking on my window. Hella weird.
Okay.
Okay, go on.
So then you still got a square root of c times the square root of c.
Right.
Which gives you what on the bottom?
C squared. No, square root of c times square root of c.
Gives you what?
C.
Good. Okay. Do you see that? Do you understand?
I understand it a bit better than my teacher taught it. I still don't understand it completely.
Okay. Honestly, there is nothing different doing this than the square root of x squared y over square root of y. You know what I mean? It may look different, but it's the exact same.
Gotcha.
All the process stays the same.
Okay.
There's like the only one little thing is knowing what I is.
Right.
Other than that, everything else stays the same. You just kind of cancel out and you go along and you're done.
Yeah. I just gotta get this done by Friday, so I think we should be able to finish.
Yeah. Okay. So I want you to work on the next problems, and I'm going to help Elmo with this vertical shift. Okay?
Well, I gotta head out for tonight anyway.
Okay. You're
Shower and get ready for bed.
You're done. Okay, that's good.
Alright, take care, man.
Later, bud. Have a good night. Don't
You
work.
too.
Don't work too hard.
I don't think I'll let you know if I'm staying after school tomorrow.
Okay.
But if not, I should be getting home around 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
My time. So it'd be like what, 2 something there, I think? 2:30.
No worries. I'll be here.
Alright, cool, man.
Later, bud.
Later, man.
Okay, Elmo. So if you didn't know, I was using Discord to talk with Raj, and I was screen sharing, so he didn't actually wait for a delay like you guys do on stream. So normally what I would like to do is if we have a lengthy amount of stuff to work on, I'd do a call. So Elmo, I want you to do one thing, and I want you to be able to look at my Instagram account, because on there I have actually a whole bunch of this stuff that's like a definition of what it means for these vertical shifts and all that stuff, and they're really good for just like a quick reference if you need to look. So I just double check my Instagram account. I'll even I'll make a link of it for you, even though it should be in the description. But other than that, we're going to go through it. Okay. What does it mean to have a vertical shift of a function? And there is you're dealing with the parent function, the square root of x. That's fine. But what I'm going to talk to you about is just like, in general, what you can do. Because technically these do work. Yeah, you shift it up or down. So how What would you think about doing that? Let's do an example, a simple one. Do you remember your line equation, y equals x? Which would just be straight line through the origin. Hopefully I can draw it somewhat. It's okay. Great, great. So our function is our f of x is just x in this case. Okay. Now, what happens if we add a number? So if we look at the same form, the f of x plus c, what happens to our numbers? So let's pick a number that's greater than 1. Let's just greater than 0. We'll pick a positive number. We'll pick 1. C equals to 1. What happens to our values? So if we have a table of values, is a good way to look at it. We've got y and x. And our function is y equals x plus 1. If we have x is 0, 1, and 2, we'll just do those couple for now. So Elmo, I want you to tell me what happens to the original function when we change it by adding 1. What do we get in our table of values? Well, the x values are just the y values plus 1. Or the y value is the x value plus 1, right? So if x is 0, add 1, we get 1. If x is 1, add 1, we get 2. If x is 2, we add 1, we get 3. So if we replot those, when x is 0, which would be here, our new point would be 1, which would be here. When x is 1, our new point would be 2. When x is 3, our new point would be 3. And if I try and keep it looking the same, kind of. You notice that it shifts it upwards, right? Okay, now let's you understand that. Now if we subtract 1, you would understand that it would just go down, right? So the first one is y equals x plus 1, and then the last one is y equals x minus 1. Right? Brilliant. So let's do a more complicated equation to see if it changes anything. Okay. Your equation is y equals the square root of x. So here's our y, here's our x. Now, Elmo, do you know what the square root of x looks like? Just the parent function. No. Okay. You don't know what the square root of x looks like. So then we better find that out, right? I'm going to pick a table of values. Here's y, here's x. and y equals the square root of x. So I'm going to pick a few values that I know will work fine. I'm going to pick 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25. So tell me, what is y for y equals 1, for x equals 1? So can you tell me what these next values will be? Yeah, 1. What about the next one? 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so you notice that, eh? 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, let me ask you this. Does -1 have a value? In the reals, we'll say. No, there is no value. What is the square root of 2? The square root of 2 is irrational. It's 1 point something, right? What about 0? Does 0 work? Okay, good. 0 does work. Okay. So using these numbers, I'm going to plug in a number here. I'm going to try and graph it. So 1 and 1. X is 4. Well, that's kind of over here, and that's only here. 2. X is 9, which is way down here. We'll say we get 3. And let's say, what's the square root of 0.25? So what happens when x is a small number but still greater than 0? Well, you got it, 0.5. So when x is 0.25, you got a number that's right about here, right? Which means if we connect the dots, it looks a little bit like this. My line could be drawn a little bit smoother, but it curves in this direction. Okay, Elmo? So this is y equals the square root of x. Now, the thing is you should actually have to look up and learn the base functions. Just the standard ones. So now, the other question is, does it include negative values? And that question is actually specific to what problems you're working on. Because you are only given the positive form, not the negative form. Unless you were doing like a piecewise, or maybe it was given in a different way. So really, we're only doing with the top form. Okay, Elmo, you're good so far? Now, if you wanted, you could have just typed these into your calculator and got some values. It just would have been a little bit more complicated. I already knew which values would work, you know. So we're here now. You are supposed to graph y equals f of x plus or minus c. So c is a positive number. Because you want to have it actually be negative. You don't want it to switch signs on you. So remember that you would have to just redraw this function. This is y equals f of x plus c. And then redraw it over here. Assuming that this distance is c and this distance is c. You see that, Elmo? Where I start the line, are you referring to the origin? Because remember here, we had 0 is 0. Yeah, sorry, Jay. It's brand new. Only started this term. I did try it last year for a couple of days, but I got sick and I couldn't do it anymore, and it took a long time. Well, the plus c, so a c is a constant, right? As long as you define what the distance is for c, could be anything. Could be 1, could be 2, could be 0.001, could be plus 100. It doesn't matter. So as long as you're saying, oh, this is a distance of c, then you're fine. Because c is just a constant, greater than 0. And this is your definition right there. Yeah, it can be any number. You just weren't given a number. You're just saying it's a constant and it's bigger than 0. It's if they said f of x plus 2, then you would have to actually define on your graph what is a distance of 2. Okay, Elmo, do you have any other questions? I guess our Instagram buddy here that sent us some business math problems isn't going to show. No, he hasn't even seen it yet. Yeah, so if it said if it said c was 2, all you're doing is adding 2 to each value, or subtracting 2 to each value if it's plus or minus, right? So remember how I did this this formula for you right here, where I said it's x plus 1? Well, you would do the same thing again. You would just add 1, or you would add 2, whatever the value is, right? All you're doing is taking your operation and then adding 2 to it. And then that would be your y. Does that make sense, Selma? Great, let's do more. So you had the vertical shifts. Do you have to deal with any horizontal shifts? I'm sorry, this stream is rather boring. There's no, I don't know how to make it even more entertaining unless I actually have a call with people, which is unfortunate. One of them says shift left, so that's like a horizontal shift. So are you going to be dealing with the square root function of each time? You know what? Okay, this is going to be good for you here. I'm going to write some notes for you. And I want you to copy these down. So for vertical and horizontal shifts, we're going to assume always that our constant c is going to be greater than 0. Okay? Remember how we were doing up and down before? So y equals f of x plus c. Like we were talking about before, this shifts it. Shifts the graph. F of x up c units. So if we said c was 1, we'd go up 1. If we said c was 2, we'd go up 2. You know, those type deals. If it's minus c, it shifts the graph. F of x down c units. No, for all. This is in general. So our general equation, you're going to see that this applies to many different, not just square roots. So if you were given a different formula, so instead of square roots, let's say you had a parabola, or you had a cubic function, or even a sine or tan or whatever, those type functions, you'll notice that this will work for all of them. This is in general. we've got f of x minus c. Right, c units. Y equals f of x plus c. Shifts the graph left c units. Okay, this is the first bit. There's another 2 sets, but this is gonna be working for you in general. Sorry, I'm just gonna move it up a little bit. Okay, Elmo, does this look familiar? Does this look like it's in your notes? Even though my handwriting's a little bit messy. Okay, not sure. That's okay. This is gonna be a new notes for you. Elmo, you're doing what? Pre-calc, I think you said, or calculus? So the thing is, pre-calc, okay. Remember, it has to be inside the function. So like a replacement of the variable. So as a reminder, if f of x is, let's say, x squared, and we say what is f of a, we're just replacing the variable x with the variable a. So it's a squared, or the number, or whatever it is. If it's f of x plus a, then we're replacing the inside variable, so the original variable, with x plus a squared. Do you see the difference there? And I'll explain these left and right shifts soon enough, you'll see. Good. This is a good reminder that you need to keep in mind. So this will help you figure out what these shifts mean. Okay? So we're going to work with the left and right. Now, we know what the square root of x looks like. Y and x. Square root, so y equals square root of x. Okay, let's pick a number. So pick a number for c. Make it a small one, an integer number. It's a little bit big, but okay. So if we're going to say we have minus 7, so we're going to change our, oops, that's the wrong one. Y equals f of x is equal to the square root of x. Now we're going to change it to x minus 7. f of x minus 7. We replace it inside the square root, so we've got the square root of x minus 7. Okay? Now, before we had a 0 starting point. So I'm going to ask you, at what value does this become 0? So 0 equals the square root of x minus 7. What value does that become 0? Seven. Good. So 0, when x is 7, y is 0. Let's just work with our 0 points from before. Here is our first one. It's at 0, right? Now, when y is 0, x is 7. So it's way over here. Here is our new 0. And then the graph continues just like it was before. See that? Cool. So do you see how when I plugged in x minus 7 under the square root, that it moved the whole graph over to the right? Okay, so now what happens if instead of a minus 7, we had a plus 7? So what's f of x plus 7? Where's our 0 now? Right, it's at minus 7. So then when y is 0, so y is then at the on the x-axis, x has to be minus 7, which is somewhere over here. So here's our minus 7. So it went to the left. There you go. So do you see how these little notes that I wrote to begin with can describe exactly what you need to do for shifting? Awesome. So these little 4 things apply to more than just square root functions. They apply to a lot of different ones. So your next function that could be given to you would be, I don't know, a sine function. Something like that. It would work just fine. So what's the next step you need to think about? So what are the next things you need to work on? Do you need to do stretches? The vertical and horizontal stretching next? Like, what kind of problems are you working on? Or was that basically it? Just showing how the square root function moves up and down. I haven't gotten to stretches yet. Okay. Well, good news is it's basically the same thing. Like I could write the notes down for you if you want. Cool. So we did, this was vertical and horizontal shifts. Stretching. We've got vertical and horizontal stretching. So this time we're just going to say C is greater than 1. We don't want it to be a fraction. We just want it to be bigger than 1. Because if it was a fraction, that would mess with things differently. So y is equal to some constant times f of x. This stretches the graph vertically by c. Y equals f of x over c compresses vertically by c. Then y equals f of c times x is a compression horizontally. And y equals f of x over c is a stretch horizontally. So what does that mean? So remember y equals x, your line function. And remember how it was like a 45-degree angle? Yeah, I'm gonna draw it over here a bit more. Oops. Gotta go through the origin there, bud. Yeah, stretches are division and multiplication. Now, the only thing you have to bear in mind is that it has to be bigger than 1, not a fraction. Because when you think about it, 0.5 is the same as 1 over 2, right? So if you're dividing by a fraction, you're actually multiplying by a big number, right? So that's why we want it to be greater than 1. Okay. So if that's not a very good drawing, let's do this way. Oh, come on, man. You can draw a little bit better than that. Close enough. If this is your regular y equals x, then if you multiply by a number, let's say 2, y equals 2x, then it should be stretched vertically by c. Now remember, on the line, it's our rise over run, so it would go up 2 instead of 1, so it would be, let's say, up here. See that? So it stretched it vertically. It's not the greatest example because it's a line, but I think you can understand what it means just by these 4 terms. And then there's one technical little last one, and that's about reflecting. You mean like you want an example? So the thing about the line one is it's so simple that it doesn't really change anything. C times f of x with a line is the same as f of cx. So it's the same thing. Now, why? No, I think you're questioning why it doesn't stretch it horizontally. Because think about the values. Think about the values, because it's y is what we're really plotting versus x, right? Y versus x. So when x is 1, then y would be twice that. So it would be 2. When x is 2, that's 4. Right? If x is 3, well, 2 times 3 is 6. So y is 6. So as you look at your points, when x is 1, it would be here. But then y is up really high. So it's gone up twice as fast. Gone up twice as fast, you know? Does that make sense? So if I do another example, it would work better. Instead of a line, do you remember parabolas? So like y equals x squared. Okay, good. So we're gonna do c times f of x, and we're gonna do, well, I'm gonna write, instead of c, I'm gonna write 2. 2 times f of x and f of 2x. See what the difference is. Okay. Now, you remember a standard parabola looks pretty much like this. It's not a bad drawing. Okay. Let's do this one is 2 times f of x. Actually, I'll rewrite this. So what is 2 times f of x? Well, that's 2x squared, right? Got x and we've got y. Let's start with 0. 0 is still 0. We're good on that. What about 1? So when x is 1, y is, I'm going to write a y there. Y is 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, that's not too big a deal. What about x is 2? 2 squared is 4 times 2, that's 8. What about 3? 3 squared is 9 times 2 is 18. Okay? And then it would be the same in the negatives. So if we look at that, it grows a lot faster because remember, in our standard function, 0, 0, 1, 1, what is it? 2 and then 4, 3 and 9. For y equals x squared. Okay? So it would grow a lot faster. So it's like it stretched it up. Okay? You following me so far? Awesome. Okay. That was this one right here. 2 times f of x. What about f of 2x? I'm going to draw another table of values right down here. So y equals f of 2x equals what? 2 times x squared. And if we do our exponent rules, this would be what? 4x squared. Okay? That's a different number than the other one. So we've got x, we've got y. When x is 0, y is 0. When x is 1, we get 4. Oh, sorry. Been a long day already. And when x is 2, so 2 squared is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Now, this one here, when we had y equals 2x, was like a vertical stretch. So it's stretching upwards. Now, this one, 4x squared, it's growing even faster than the last one. But that's just because of the way the formula works. The way you need to think about it for this one is that this function was compressed inwards. So this, I should have picked a different color there, that one. So it makes a big difference whether it's inside or if it's outside. And that's why we have this different distinction for right here and right here. Okay. Elmo. What? There's one more piece. Are you ready for the last piece? Or do you have any more questions about this, the stretching? Okay, last piece. The last piece that works in general here is reflecting. So reflecting is actually just like a change in signs. So we got y equals minus f of x. This is reflecting about x-axis. Good. And then y equals f of minus x is reflecting about y-axis. Now, what would be an equation that I could write that is a little, that'll both work separately? I'll just make something up. Because sometimes in textbooks or in your class or your homework, they'll ask you just to show the reflection. So they'll just draw a few things. If this is f of x, what is negative f of x? Okay. Now, when you think about that, this number right here is a positive value. We could say it's 1. If we put a minus sign in front, it would become minus 1. So it would go down here, right? And then that would actually coincide with all the rest of them. So if I can draw this accurately, close, we'd see that this would be minus f of x. So then we can think about this as rotating around the x-axis. Now, there's only one, the other piece depends on the function, because sometimes you can have an even function, or sometimes you can have an odd function. And what, like, a parabola is even, so it's on both sides here. An odd function would be from this quadrant to this quadrant. So what is f of minus x? Well, really, would you think about it as, what would be a good example? It just plugs in a minus. I guess, whatever. What will happen is it'll reflect about the y-axis. So it'll go like this. Oops, that's a bit too big. And that's about it. Those, well, the shifting, the stretching, and the reflecting is really what you need to know for transformations. And you can plug that in with a bunch of formulas and see what happens. So like you with your square root. I think with your pre-calc, so I was doing this with Raj before actually. His class started with the square root. I think you may have been given a formula like this. A square root of x minus h plus k. You're welcome. You're welcome for those notes. It makes a big difference. Instead of having to memorize a formula and then learn a new formula each time, it's better to learn in general what it actually means when you do something to a function. Like, what happens to a function when you multiply it by a negative? Like, what happens to a function when you add a number to it? You know, those type things. Anyways. Elmo, did you have anything else that you wanted to go over? Or are you good for tonight? Doesn't sound like it was too complicated of a day for you. That'll do. Awesome. Okay. Perfect. Great. Let's see, what time is it? I think I'm gonna be shutting down for now then. I think that'll do for tonight. So I tell you what. We'll end here and we'll see who else has problems or anything. And Elmo, anytime you want to just like send me something, so even if I'm not online, you can still send me stuff. If you send me a private message on Twitch or on Instagram, anything like that, you can still send me pictures. And then I can respond to you that way. So, until next time, ladies and gents, have a good night. Catch you later.